everyone, it is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel and get our reactions early. Subscribe and follow us over on social media. So today we are going to be doing our analysis, reaction, and discussion to episode 4. Can I just say, Eddie, what are you doing, my guy? Like, okay, so Eddie Rivas wrote this episode, like, holy shit, the shookness in me. Like, this episode, oh my god, like, this episode just got me, man. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
It was
like,
the perfect blend.
I'm just so shocked. Like, I'm just so...
It felt like the perfect blend between serious and, like, funny fluff that we all wanted.
Yeah. It was great. Like, oh my god. And listen, all right, I may be a little biased since multiple things I predicted may be in the works for coming true, okay? Like, but, like, I'm just so happy right now. I don't even know how to explain it. So great job to Eddie Rivas. This was an episode that he wrote by himself, I think. And the next episode, he said he wrote next episode too, and I'm just like, I don't even know if I can survive that long.
I just felt that, like, Volume 6, the previous volume, was the RWBY I enjoyed the most since 3. And I was like, are they going to be able to keep that, like, high standard going?
I think so.
And they're keeping it, and I'm so excited that it stayed this good.
God. Okay.
Anyways.
So can we please talk about... Yeah, Hunter was just like, oh no, a blizzard's coming. And I'm just like, what moving, like, slow moving cloud is that? Like, no,
I'm not
it's Amity Arena, Hunter.
I understand the stereotypes about Canada, however, I'm not actually that familiar with tundras.
Can we just, everyone just stop what the fuck you're doing.
Girl!
Stop what you are doing right now. She is a sheep. Oh my god. We like screamed this episode over this. Like,
so
you know
cute.
what it reminds me of? So Pokemon Sword and Shield just came out, and Wooloo, she's a personified Wooloo. Like, how can you not? But what's actually interesting about this, okay, is that she has the Happy Huntress Robin Hill type symbol on her clothes.
Potentially a mantle symbol, as we've guessed previously.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like maybe the mantle and Atlas symbol modified for Robin specifically. Like, that's been my idea.
It's also on it's also the symbols I have just realized this now on their binoculars.
Wait, where?
The symbols on Look at Wooloo.
Oh, yeah, so she has one, but this person, I don't know, it's just kind of hard to tell. But yeah, I would say that she is definitely a happy huntress.
Yes.
Don't know what's going on, like, with this person.
I think they're both happy huntresses.
Because, like, no, but she has the sign and then this person doesn't. So I'm not really sure if it's, like, a mixture situation where it's, like, the happy huntresses, but there's also, like, other, like, sort of people that are teaming up with Robin. Does that make sense? Like, Robin has her group and maybe somebody else has theirs and they're sort of working together.
There's, like, the happy huntresses and people under there.
Yeah, maybe, because, like, this person may just seem like a faunus, and so it's possible that, like, Robin has her happy huntresses, but there's also a faunus group that is working with the happy huntresses, right? Because this girl is also, like, a faunus, clearly. Clearly, right? But if this is, like, a really, like, butch happy huntress, like, oh my god, like, my heart.
I also love how
they
Atlas
have some sort of symbol
have,
on them, and so that's why I'm like, I wonder if that's, like, a whole new thing. Like, I'm guessing they're just tattoos, but I wonder if that's a thing.
Had that as well.
Yeah, and so
she
does
was from
Vine.
Atlas, and so does Vine, so I think it's just an Atlas thing to have
maybe,
a lot of face
but maybe
tattoos.
it's like a group.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Like
an ethnic
like
group.
Working together, or like stuff like that.
But yeah, it looks like, but they're spying on Atlas, which I find
interesting. Yeah, look at her! Oh my god!
Look at that cute little spy!
I hope last week, or the week before, when Majojo saw the bear that was going out of Pietro's, that was the first week. Like, Majojo drew it and, like, right away. So I am hoping that when we finish this video and upload this video, we are gonna get some sheep girl art. Please. Like, that is all I want in my entire life. So they're, you know...
They step
I like, look how happy Crow is! But here's the thing, and I talked about this in the episode, but Hunter wasn't really listening to me because he didn't respond. Crow walks like this, okay? I don't know if you guys can see my hands. He walks like a bird. Have we noticed that? He's like, you know, he's like doing the little chicken dance as he's walking. Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like, look at him. Look how, right? Like, look how up his elbows are. And I talked about that in the reaction, and Hunter just gave me no response. So I was
didn't hear you.
Do you guys not understand? Like, look at him. And I think that you guys can see Hunter more than me. So Hunter, would you like to, like?
Yeah, he's doing like.
You know, he's. I just like it's the wings. Like, I don't even know. But yeah, Crow seems pretty pretty happy with his new friends, and I appreciate. Well, they're not friends. We'll talk about that. They're apparently not friends.
I also love Marrow so much. I love them all so much.
I don't know what is I guess they're just like so shook by how great they are, because that is the expression on their, like, they're all shocked, right? But then John and Ruby, this was
and Nora.
Like, this was so
look at these babies,
so cute,
and they lean out. Something I find that interesting in this, and we'll see it a lot, is that I mentioned this about RWBY Volume 1, is that there's a lot of like these weird cutaway gag anime moments.
Yeah,
where
like
people act very
castle.
cartoonishly, or like that scene in like the second episode where Yang and Ruby land in Beacon and Ruby briefly becomes chibi.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, or like the trap card. That has, as RWBY has gone away from the first 2 seasons, they've been doing that less and less and less.
Yeah.
And maybe it's Eddie Rivas, or maybe it's just a new mood
just stuff
for this.
being happy again.
Maybe stuff being happy, but they're doing a lot of it, and I feel like it really, really works here.
Yeah, and I think with John, he had the same sort of animation as when Penny was walking, like that same sort of
limited animation.
Oh my god, like it. Look at how happy Crow is. All right, you guys can see I'm dressed in my Crow sweater, right? So all I want is just Crow to be happy. Like, I think that this volume has made Crow one of my favorite characters, which is sort of like, I didn't hate him before or anything. I just like, oh, it's Crow, you know what I mean? Like, he was probably one of the best male characters in my opinion, but that wasn't saying a lot compared to other volumes.
Ooh, shit.
So, no offense. But yeah, and so now I'm just like, we stand forever. Like, how can you not, like, look at it, like, he's just so cute. Like, how can you not stand? Like, we stand. But I really just like this. The Aesops are handpicked to perfectly complement one another. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like
the leadership
that could be why they're not friends.
Yes.
Because in a sense, right, like, you know, they were handpicked.
Yeah.
And, like, sort of weeded out to have similar semblances to one another when you think about it, right? Like, Elm has the hand thing and Vine has the other thing. And we think that they're in a relationship, right? Like, they kind of seem it. But in terms of Hair and Marrow, probably not. Yeah. Like, everybody else, they're
RWBY
probably just working
and Juniper
together.
Feels like found family.
Yeah,
they seem like forced family. They seem like regular family.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you're forced like that, maybe that's the problem. And maybe that's the difference between the Aesops and Team RWBY, is that the Aesops work like a well-oiled machine, but people aren't machines, and like power of friendship and family will trump
and the fact,
for all sort of, like, once and for all, like the power of friendship, right? I think that's what they are gonna get at to some extent. Like, maybe, you know, Aesops can help Team RWBY learn how to be better, but in the opposite way, Team RWBY can help the Aesops learn to be friends. I know that's like such a cliche, but I love it. Okay, don't come for me.
And you get that a little later. Is I think you hear it from Harriet.
Yeah, and so we'll get to that. I love Marrow. Like, Marrow
is
such
a fuckboy.
I know, like,
I love him.
He's just such
goofy,
oh my god,
and
he just, I don't know.
Full of himself.
Like, some of us
wonderful.
are zero liability. Like, oh my god. I just love it. Also, we noticed this episode that Elm has a slight accent.
Elm has Russian accent.
Which we did not
I am big buff, hammer swinging Russian lady. Squeeze you tight. Come here, babushka.
And so I don't know, like, if we just missed it, like, I don't know.
I just think she just didn't talk a lot.
But I love how Nora's, look at her face, just like, excuse me,
who is this?
Friendship. I really liked this.
Thunder Thighs.
I thought it was, at first I was like, what the fuck is going on? But now, like, rewatching it, I'm like, I love it. Like, I'm so glad that they decided
Nora,
to do something
I feel like Nora
this.
is just...
Look at her face. She's just like, what the hell is this lady talking about?
Little loud ginger-haired one is scaring me. I do not understand. How
this
is
is a weird line
thunder?
from RWBY. Like, it worked, but, like, she was like, perfect complementary teamwork. Oh, yeah. Like, I was just like, RWBY, you're such a nerd.
The delivery works. The line delivery works.
Exactly. Rooster Teeth, you may need to fix that.
That's actually an upcoming RWBY team name. The Wint.
Boy. To have my friends back just like that. And she's like, what are like, who? Like, excuse me? And so, like, we all sort of thought that they were one team at Atlas. And we sort of thought
but
that...
it's 5,
we
so
thought that Robin, like, was on a team with Winter, and we had all of those sort of theories. But it's like, maybe they left their real friends to be handpicked for the Aesops. And so now they're all sad. That's not nice.
But, like, I'm just like, is Harriet just with other people? Is, like... Elm with other like Russian bodybuilders. Also, can we go back to when Ren lifted up Nora after
I
her
thought
thunder
that was
dive?
so,
That was
look at him, he's
adorable.
hunched over.
That was what I was talking about, like those like anime-ish comedy gags.
Yeah,
that,
I really liked
I
it.
dig them.
And look at, like, Yang's just like when you go through so much with someone, and she's like, you know, Blake's looking at Yang, Weiss is looking at that,
Ruth,
you know what I mean? But apparently, nothing matters. I mean, you know. And so she basically explains, like, that they're, you know, job and friendship, which is like, oh dear. I feel like that is gonna change. Like, I feel like that...
Are they gonna develop, or are we gonna see that, they're like a machine, but when, like...
What happens when the cogs break down?
Yeah,
like,
what happens when it breaks down?
Remember how we talked about Levi Squad all dying?
Yes.
Like, again, I don't want to spoil Attack on Titan, but really, if you're not caught up by now, I don't know what to say to you, okay?
Like, what were you doing in grade 10 of
they
high
had
school?
like a 3-year hiatus, like, y'all had time. Okay, but here's the thing with the Levi Squad, like, you know, Mikasa, Eren, and, like, the others, like, they all have a very strong bond. Like, Eren and Armin and Mikasa, and even, like, the other people whose names I can't remember, like, they're all, like, very close. Whereas the Levi Squad, were they friends? Like, they seemed like friends, but at the same time, like, could it be a parallel? Like, that maybe the Levi Squad was more like, oh, this is a job, we gotta do it, and then they all fucking died. Like, I think that the only one that I feel like Levi had a thing for Pietra. Is that the girl?
I can't remember.
You know the girl?
It's been
the
so
girl
long.
died. Anyway, and so it doesn't really matter, but I'm sort of saying that could be the parallel. Like, I see Levi Squad situations happening to the Aesops, and that could be why. Like, you count on each other to keep you alive, but you have no, you know what I mean?
It's, you don't have that. It's
what
not,
happens
there's
when
no
the machine
camaraderie.
breaks? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I feel like that's a difference between, say, Team RWBY
What's
and then,
keeping you together? Is it the
Yeah.
money? Because, like, RWBY would be together no matter what. And they were together. They found each other because they all
no
had
matter
that
what.
same goal.
And so it's like, is it being an Aesop? Is it like, do you guys
money?
get government health? Like, is it the dental plan?
Yeah, is it the
Like,
dental
You know what I'm saying? Like, why?
They give me nice hammers.
But I mean, you know, that's just Harriet and Elm, right? Like, obviously Elm seems to be closer to Vine, but it's like, maybe Clover doesn't necessarily think of it that way, and it's just, like, I don't know, Vine also sort of sees it. I feel like Marrow, it does think that they're all friends. Or something. Like, you know what I mean? That's how he seems a little bit like.
Here's the thing. I feel like Marrow sees them as his backup singers.
Oh my god, yeah. Actually, I think that's better.
We have Ironwood.
But yeah, Ironwood's right there, and I don't know. He just.
Can we talk about how lovely those
I don't know.
backgrounds
Like,
are?
I just love it.
Iron
Yes, the mountain. Oh my god, everything looks so pretty.
I was worried that the mountains would look like those really bad, like late 90s, early 2000s Paramount logos, where they zoom in on the mountain, but they don't. It looks really nice.
And the sun is setting, so we see like the progression of time, like Isis. Okay, here's what I was thinking during the reaction. I was like, why are there stars in the sky? And then I was like, wait, that's the wrong show, because in She-Ra there's no stars. Like, oops. But okay, not to get all meta all of a sudden, but the fact that there are stars in the sky could mean that there are other planets out there, right? Like, unless the gods just made a bunch of
Are we gonna do
like,
RWBY in space?
Hey, that was our other theory. Remember the epilogue?
Oh, right, yeah.
Anyway, and
after the Team Stark spinoff goes, it's
so I love that RWBY hears, we're not friends, and then she immediately like,
let's go be friends,
like, because that just made her so sad. But like, I feel like RWBY just has so much energy, and I feel like it's also because RWBY is younger, right? Because you have to think about it, like, you know, they get their licenses, and everybody's like, oh, like, you know, we know that this is coming very soon. Like, Ironwood says that, but at the same time, it's even sooner for RWBY. RWBY's still only like, what, 17? Like, she was 15, so she's only 17 now. Like, she would have just been going into Beacon if she had went at the proper time. So I feel like people have to keep in mind how heavy that is. You know what I mean? It's like if you graduated university when you're supposed to graduate high school, and now you're expected to go out in the world and get a job. Like, that's basically what's happening to them. Whereas, you know, Weiss and Blake, to some extent, I feel like, you know, they were older, they were more prepared, but even still, it's still like, what, they would have done either another year or like another 2 years of their schooling, and they never got to, so feels bad. Blake is such a mood, like, how about our beds, like, mood Blake, like, I cannot, like
you do not know how exhausting it is to unzip all of these zippers at the end of the day,
poor
RWBY.
Weiss is just like, I like like, we explored a whole continent on foot, and then RWBY says, yeah, it was only the boring parts, though. Like, I feel like, I don't want to say that's a jab, but it's almost self-referential to people complaining that we didn't get to see, like, anything cool in Mistral. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, remember, like, when we went into the city, it was all sort of, like, 2D art of, like, how the city looked and stuff, so I feel like that's almost RWBY being like, yeah, but we didn't see anything cool.
But then also we get Yang being like, we almost died,
and, like,
we met
like,
God.
Nah, like, it's fine.
We met grim people. We stopped, like, a terrorist attack from happening. Like, shit was... I just love
like
Marrow
how
in
he's
the
like,
background.
don't take Marrow, because Marrow's not subtle, and they need to be subtle. So... Guys, can I just say, can we, you know what I need you to do, Hunter?
Yeah.
We have to repurpose this board to the Calxiyn wins board, alright? Like, we just need to erase this shit and put up, you want to do it? Okay, we need to erase this shit and put up everything that we've gotten right so far on this fucking board, because, as Hunter's off screen and I will explain, we sort of thought, Tyrion is killing people to make Ironwood look bad. That is what Watts and Tyrion are trying to do. They're trying to frame him. And we did this whole thing where it's like Jacques and Watts and like, you know, all of this stuff. Like they're trying to frame Ironwood. You know what I mean? Instead of it just being this one-dimensional, like, you know, oh, Watts and Tyrion are just causing mischief, right? Like it has an actual purpose. They are sabotaging Ironwood exactly like we said.
What I find interesting, and I'm gonna... Oh, maybe you can go now.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting about this is that I think Ironwood has... He talks about it later, about how people... Like, he talks about, like, yeah, I think someone's offing my opposition and it's gonna frame me.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to care, but he has he needs, like, a PR team. He has an image issue. I mean, when we first saw him... I mean, not you, but I and a lot of people were like, this man's a dictator. He doesn't appear to actually be a dictator, but, like, he looks like a dictator. Sir, you need to be concerned about the public's perception of you.
Oh my God.
The reason why RWBY probably said, like, no and didn't tell you about the important thing that Osmond, well, was hiding from you, was because of this very issue that you do not care about what people think about you. Honey, no!
I like how you say, honey, no. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. Like, he doesn't care, and I feel like that's part of the problem. Like, maybe he should spend a little more time concerned about these people. Yes. You know what I mean? And so I think that we have, right now, we have at least 4 little thingamajigs on our board. Okay, I think that right now we have a couple wins on our board, okay? So far... We have gotten, okay, so this is Penny and Pietro.
Yes.
So we got that right first episode. Jacques coming back this episode. That's not really a point, but this episode I was like, Hunter, like, Jacques and Whitley have to come eventually, and then they showed up. So I'll say that as a happy coincidence. Tyrion killing people, like, for, you know, to make Ironwood look bad, that is a point. I think that we are fine for now. We will put another point on the board when we talk about maybe that Watson and Jacques are related. But yeah, so those are our wins.
If I could make, before we leave, because we're going to leave the Tundra, so before we leave the Tundra, one thing I would say is that I think that part of who they're fooling is Robin Hill and the Happy Huntresses, because they look like they're plotting something. So they might try to attack.
Like, they think that Ironwood's genuinely doing it, yeah. And so, specifically, people who speak out against me. So yeah, we definitely got that right, that Tyrion is murdering. He probably murdered the journalist as well. Hello, remember that? I just love being right. I don't know if you guys have noticed, like, that's what brings me the joy in my life. You know what I mean? Getting RWBY theories
right.
correct.
I feel like they would use centimeters instead of feet, but, you know, I guess that's just my bias.
Anyways. So that's a guy who rode with us after we were arrested, and I like how RWBY's just so...
horrified
Yeah, I really like that.
She's not callous to people
I like
dying.
what Crow says here. Your opposition in Mantle dropping dead isn't exactly a good look for you, huh?
Also,
like,
the
really,
whole dictator shtick isn't. You're not worried about your public image. You should be!
Like,
you should be!
But yeah. And it's working. So I feel like that's like, Verve accidentally revealed the thumbnail for the next episode, I guess, and it's Robin. So I feel like Robin is, like, it is working. She does genuinely believe that Ironwood is shady, but as Tyrion is gonna go kill her, right? Because Tyrion's in the OP, as Tyrion is gonna go murder her, right? You know what I mean? To make Ironwood look even worse. And so Jacques, because, like, we basically had another theory that they would actually rig the election for Robin to win. And so we'll see how that happens, because again, at the end it seems like Watts is implying he'll help Jacques, but I think that they're still gonna go the route of, we'll rig it so Robin wins and then kill her, and you were the runner-up, so you'll get her spot, and it'll all be all chaos. Instead of just being like, all right, we're gonna rig it so you win, Jacques. Like, that's not as interesting as this little twisty twist situation going on here, so we'll see. But yeah, so the embargo wasn't making anyone so mad, so Jean is just like...
Sass is a fucking general, and it's interesting that, sir, like, he realized, like, I just told, like someone
he was just
who could get me
out
whacked.
loud, you know what I mean?
But it's interesting that Ironwood, like, takes criticism from a fucking nobody, from someone who's not even, up until this point, an actual huntress.
Yeah, or a huntsman.
Or huntsman.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that is interesting.
Like,
and it shows that Ironwood is not all that bad.
Was I wrong? Was Ironwood, like, not that bad?
Yes, you were wrong! That was my whole argument from before.
Well, my argument now is that Ironwood needs to be concerned about how people view him.
Can I just say, because Hunter just reminded me for some reason, big F for Oscar, and big F for Maria.
Yeah, what the fuck are they?
They're not. We're probably not seeing Maria anyway. Oscar, I think that we will see when Ironwood gets back. But at the same time, Ironwood is like, we're doing, like, I have to run the operation here. So, like, who knows when he'll go back home and train with Oscar, unless he did it before he left. But yeah, who really knows?
It's interesting that, like, Maria was so much of a presence in Volume 6.
And now she's just gone, like, excuse me? Like, what?
But then again, Ironwood and Penny and Winter and, well, now...
and so
Jacques.
he's trying to, like, explain the good that they can do, and then he gets interrupted by fucking Jacques Schnee, and as soon as he said, no, this one's an Atlas problem, I was like, it's a Jacques Schnee problem.
When was the last time we saw Jacques? It was Volume 4? It felt like a very long time.
Volume 4, I guess.
So this was, like, a big, like, villain moment. The music was really bad. We were freaking out.
You mean bad as in, like, bad guy?
Like, bad guy music.
Bad guy. I just want to clarify.
It was very good, bad guy music.
And so, like... Oh, wait, I'm going backwards. I was like, you've also decided you have the authority to commandeer private property.
Which I guess this mine did.
Yeah, and so I think it's so interesting how, like, look at John in the background. Like, John's just, like, almost ready to cut a bitch.
You wonder, like, if Crow has ever met Jacques.
Like, does Crow even know? Because, like, Crow and Winter sort of have this thing where, like, Crow kind of, like, I don't want to say hates her.
They have a relationship.
But they have a love-hate situation going on, right? And so it's sort of like, I wonder, like, I agree. I wonder how Crow feels about that. But, like, it was a running joke that Crow has been, like, fucking Willow or something. You know what I mean? Like, even all winter. And so it's like, I don't know if that still stands with the Clover and Ironwood situation, but I'm just like, what if Jacques is just like, you're the guy who's been fucking my wife? Anyway, I crack myself up sometimes. But yeah, and so... he's just like, bitch, I already told them, like, it doesn't require a vote if we're using it for the military. And I love what he says here. You might want to brush up on council law before you lose this upcoming election.
The shot is pretty good,
So he doesn't even want Jacques to win, right? He wants Robin to win. Like, I mean, maybe it's a lesser of two evils thing, but at the same time, like, maybe he genuinely thinks that Robin would do some good.
It's not even
maybe he wants to work with Robin.
Maybe it's not even who he thinks will win, it's just who he wants to win.
Lose.
It's who he thinks will win and who he thinks will lose. Yeah.
And so, lately you seem to forget who your friends really are. And I'm like, have you guys ever... No.
Once in Volume 4, but that didn't seem... I don't know, were you ever cool? Were you ever buddies?
I do not think so.
It would be interesting to see if, like, Jacques helped Ironwood rise through the ranks.
Ooh,
like, if there was ever, like, a quid pro quo there.
Spicy.
Like, Jacques thinks that Ironwood owes him something.
He finally... Listen, he's been here for, like, at least 2 minutes, and then he notices his wife. Like... Look at his face, though, how its expression changes. It's sort of weird in that moment, like, seeing...
It's
Weiss.
for a second was he gonna be sad?
Yeah, like he looks
him?
sort of sad here, but now he's just back to angry eyebrows.
But it was
so
more like, what was that moment? Was it that he was just upset that like his own blood's against him?
Yeah,
that
maybe.
he just has Whitley on his
Did
side?
Winter know about this? And so, like, I just love how Weiss also interrupts him and just goes right up to him.
Yeah.
Like, look at this.
Just
oh
cut a
my
bit.
god. And so, oh, believe me, I know exactly the kind of man you like.
She does
oh
not
my
give
god.
a fuck.
Like, yeah, have a mind to what, Jacques?
Yeah.
What are you really gonna do, okay?
Like, are you gonna,
can't
smack
fucking
her
fight,
again?
Like,
She has her sword.
Like, this is military property, alright? I'm pretty
Blake
sure we
will,
can get you sister
lift you
arrested.
in air and snap you over her knee.
Because that's a good point. Like, if Jacques did physically retaliate against Weiss, is this not military property
Yeah,
now?
he'd
So
be
can we
fucking
not,
dead.
arrest it? Like, arrest him, sir.
Yeah, no, he would. Yeah,
just
he would
saying.
have blood on his Gucci suit.
And
Like
so,
it would be.
look at how his manipulation tactic changes.
Yeah.
Your mother was devastated when you left, didn't leave her room for days. And so I wonder if this is does this make sense? Like, did he lock Willow in her room, or did she not come out of her room? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Is he lying?
Like, not that he's lying, because I do believe that Willow was probably devastated.
Did
but
Willow even actually notice that Weiss was gone,
That's a
or
good
Weiss
question.
was there to begin with? Because what if Weiss was like, "Oh, Weiss, honey, I haven't seen
But
you
I'm
in such a
saying
long
didn't leave
time."
her room for days. Like, Watts. Oh, Jacques could have just locked her in there. Does that make sense? Like, oh, she didn't leave her room, or did you lock her in her room? Right? Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the truth? You know how she gets when she's upset. Like, what does that mean?
Like,
What does that mean exactly?
like a domestic alcoholic?
Is she like manic? Like, I don't know. Like, I just sort of wonder if she's like manic depressive.
Because
if that makes sense.
Miles had referenced thirsty moms. Now it could could
She's
mean
an alcoholic. She's
Yeah.
drinking in the garden. We already know. But I'm saying, like, you know how she gets when she's upset. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it seems like, I don't know. Maybe Willow is not just an alcoholic.
What if
Maybe
she's a
also
playboy?
a little mentally unstable.
What if she's just like, I don't know, what if she's just like sleeping around too?
Well, that's what. You're the man who's been
Yeah.
fucking my life. Oh, dear.
Could you imagine? Because later in the episode, they say bastard, and they've said, like, Tyrion said bitch in Volume 4, and
Yeah.
it's like, they've used some language, but imagine if Jacques, like, fucking my wife! That would be
Imagine, like,
interesting. Ugh.
this is so inappropriate, but
oh
this
no.
video is rated T for teens, Kappa, okay? So do not come for me. But, like, imagine, like, I don't even know, like, because we had this sort of theory that Watts and Jacques were brothers, and that Watts was, like, actually in love with Willow, where Jacques was just, like, using, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, and all I can imagine, I don't know who needs to says it, but, like, somebody has to call Jacques a cuck. That is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say it any better. That's all I'm trying to say. Moving swiftly on. But you can see how this... Oh, dear. You can see how much this guilt trips Weiss, though. You know what I mean? Like, in this moment. Like, you know how your
Just
mother
like
gets...
that
like,
emotional terrorism that
Jacques is pulling right now.
And
Look
they're
at Blake's face. Like,
I like
this,
how-
you know,
Because look at
Ruby
Ruby.
seems concerned.
Look at Weiss.
Blake
look
is fucking angry.
Look at Yang.
And
They're
like-
shocked, but Blake is like, I can see an abuser. I know an abuser when I see one.
Yeah,
I know someone who's
think
emotionally
so.
manipulative.
And not only that, but like...
She can clock it.
Like,
I fucking love
Blake
that.
was part of the White Fang, right?
Yeah.
And so I sort of like, because you can see even by Ruby's eyebrows, like, she's concerned. Yang is just sort of like, what the fuck?
Also, yeah, she was in the
Remember,
White...
Yang,
She's a faunus.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yang knew about Weiss's past. Weiss
Yeah.
told her. You know what I mean? Like, in Volume 5. But what I'm saying about Blake is, like, Jacques Schnee would have been target number 1 for
Yeah.
the White Fang. Like, if she really wanted to, she could just, like... kill this man. And I know that she won't, and I understand why she won't. But I have to say, would it not be so satisfying if Blake just like yoinked him?
least-
Not now. I'm just saying later.
Just a
like,
quick
this
punch
is
in
for
the face.
like this is for the
This is for Ilya?
Yeah, no, not as this is for Ilya, but like this is for the White Fang, bitch. Like, like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because presumably Jacques would be aware of,
because Jacques is being bad now, okay? Jacques
would be aware of her parents, of
Maybe,
Kylie
yeah.
and Gira, because they were the leaders of the White
Right.
Fang when they were legit.
What I was saying though, like, Jacques is bad guy now. Like, he
Yeah.
is working with Watts.
Yes.
So does that mean we're allowed to kill him? Like, you understand what I mean? Like, because, you know, for up until now, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
So, like, in terms of Team RWBY and their sort of morality, right? Like, it probably wouldn't be okay to kill him now. But could Blake just kill him later? That is the question I would like to pose to everyone. And so, I think that this line was so, like, there was something crispy about this line.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Here to thank you for
personally handing me the noose to hang
you.
you. Oh my god. Look at Blake's, look at, now Yang's just like angry eyebrows as well. Like,
I like
both
that
mad.
Blake's the one who has been manipulated by people whom she cared, and she's the one who seems to be most protective, like holding Weiss's hand. They're all protective, but she has a knowledge.
Again, guys, I know Bumblebee's gonna happen.
Yes.
Do not come for me, but it is times like this where I think that for this particular arc in RWBY and plot development wise, that Blake and Weiss would have been better together, okay?
Which is why
Do not
I
come
think...
for me, but they're developing Yang and Blake's relationship now, okay? Which is great. But if they were gonna develop a relationship now anyway, they could, you understand what I mean? Like, if it was always gonna happen now, like for Bumblebee, let's say. Like,
Bumblebee,
if you switch that to Blake and Weiss and having their relationship develop now and the Jacques stuff happening, isn't that a little spicy? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Blake and Yang works because as they grow together as a couple, they also grow away from their trauma.
I know.
Blake and Weiss would have worked as the idea of healing divides between, like, two juxtaposed sides of White Fang and Schnee, which is, I think, what you talked about in that video.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm just sort of like, would
Which-
this not be so perfect?
Alternatively is why you have then Ilya date Weiss.
Well, Ilya's not here.
Or
oh
maybe
my God.
Sun, I don't know.
Imagine if Ilya joined the Happy Huntresses. Like, I know she's working with the new White
Bitch,
Fang, but
could you
imagine if she
imagine?
was like, well, you know, Gira and Callie, they got it good. All right, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, imagine. Oh my God. But yeah, again, love Bumblebee. Do not come for me.
Presumably,
okay?
that could be a good
But
point.
I'm saying, in
like,
terms of narratively, if they were gonna develop Blake and Yang's relationship now, they would have also developed Weiss and Blake's relationship now if it was the reverse, and then you would have the added point of Jacques. So I'm just...
That's interesting, but I feel like Ilya is, like, smuggled herself out of Atlas. She could smuggle herself in.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like that. I really like the idea of Weiss and Ilya... in general, like,
Weiss
being
son,
together.
Weiss and a fun.
But I feel like Ilya would have had to come back by now, or she has to come back, like, next episode with Robin. Like, it's not gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Could you imagine? I would scream.
Oh my God. Like,
that might be a point on the...
that may be a point on the board. And so I like how Weiss is not friends family. Like,
Look
I know
at
that's such
everyone's
a cliche,
smiling except for Blake, who is still not
yeah.
okay with this. He's grumpy.
He just walks away, too. Like, he doesn't even say anything.
And then
but
she kind of collapsed afterward.
You know, Weiss just...
Like how emotionally exhausting she finds her father to be.
But you know what I find interesting is that Winter knew Jacques was there the entire time. Where Weiss will confront Jacques head on, right, to some extent. Even, like, in other interactions. In Volume 4, you know, she confronted him head on. Even, like, you know what I mean?
At the party.
She will confront him head on, but Winter has always sort of just avoided him at all costs. Right, that's why she left to the military. And you see, right, she's looking, like, she knows that he's been there.
That tool.
And so
Weiss
is like, oh, now you show up, Winter, right? Like, Winter did that on purpose, sis. Winter just left you to drown because she does not want to
Do you think that
confront.
there's going to be a scene where Winter just shuts down Jacques?
It would be nice for them to both confront him together, because I feel like Winter, part of her, even though she's, you know, on her own and she's this big, like, military gal now, like, I feel like Winter still hasn't worked up the courage like Weiss has. They're two different people. Like I don't want to say Winter's a coward, because she's not, but Winter is avoiding
Has a
Jacques.
different way of dealing with it.
Exactly. And so let's see them both, like, hold hands and get him together. You know what I mean?
And give
Jacques the Adam treatment. Look at her face. I wouldn't say I missed him, which is so true. Like, she intentionally avoided him. But yeah, then I was like...
Bam! Penny slams down. And there's an amazing shot of, like, Team RWBY blasting backwards when Penny dives down.
Well,
in
yeah,
front of them.
they're all on the floor. Did you
I
see that?
love all of these. That's
I don't
another.
think you can see them
yeah.
falling over, but they are on the floor, sis. Like they are on the ground.
Oh, look at Ironwood's face, surprised.
Yeah,
Winter's like
she-
so tired of. I love the straight guy, funny guy.
Yeah.
Penny Winter setup. It was so fun.
And so now
That was a creepy
this is
shot.
horrifying because
Yes.
I don't know if I'll have time to like throw something up on the screen, but if you guys look it up, this basically parallels to a volume 3 shot during the fall of Beacon. You know, when
It's
they're all
haunting
like
to
together.
see
Like,
this here
it's
again.
a little fucking
It's so
scary.
interesting that here this scene is meant to be happy, but it's in such a
It's
grave...
not though. I feel like it's. I mean,
No,
it is, but
happy.
it's not. Like,
But it's
you know,
but it's that idea that they're in a terrible place where terrible like Penny's smiling. She died here.
And yeah, and that's why I'm like, Penny, do you?
Are you not like
She even brings out her sword.
zoom in on her face for a moment? Smile through the pain. Smile through the pain.
I feel
Penny.
like we'll get there eventually. I don't know. Like it'll happen.
But I love that idea of like a happy thing happening in a terrible place.
Yeah, I like that too. But yeah, look at how happy Penny is.
She's
sis.
just
Like,
I
don't
feel
know
like
what to tell
I feel
you.
like they went in her CPU and
And
cranked
she's
up that
bouncing.
Oh,
Winter
and it
has
makes
to
a
be like-
noise, and when Ray puts
She's
her hand
literally
down,
vibrating.
the
Like,
noise
what?
like increases.
Yeah,
She's so
I'm not
wonderful.
Gonna go
I
through
love
Ironwood's
her.
whole like speech. I think it was good. I'm just saying.
It was a good speech.
I like how Ironwood doesn't know how to talk to people, and I feel
Yeah.
like that makes sense with his
He
PR
can't- he
image.
can't- yeah,
like
he
he can't
can't
do
be,
a
like,
speech. He has no
interpersonal
idea,
with each
like,
other.
you know what I mean? And that could be like Tin Man's situation because he's based on the
because he
Tin
doesn't
Man.
have a heart.
Yeah, Ripperoonie.
Yes,
But
ha-ha-ha.
yeah, so student license, and then you see Red and Lie, and then his
I wonder what would happen if
number.
you scanned that barcode.
like with what?
I don't know what, but like
Like
hypothetically.
like a not a grocery.
Restrictions, Class C, authority, place of issue.
Can
veil.
we do a barcode scanner? Because that's like a grocery store bar. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not a QR code,
Mhm.
so I don't think it'll like do anything.
Imagine
but
if it
let's
just
see.
circles back to like the RT like store for Lai Ren merch on sale.
No,
It's
I don't
also-
think this is gonna work. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we can do that maybe later. But
Maybe.
it's interesting that they only have authority in or place. Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, this
Place
was
of
Beacon
issue is there.
Academy, right? So this
It's
was
the
a
on the
student
authority.
license.
But it's
But now authority
Huntsman
is
on
Atlas.
Atlas Academy.
And so you see, he still has like the same like Class C like
Yeah.
restrictions, I guess. But now at least they have like their actual huntsman like.
Class C restriction is that kind of like they're
It's
not,
probably like you're only
ris-
allowed to do stuff in Atlas unless you notify, say they're going to Vacuo. You
or
can
they just
notify
they don't
Vacuo.
have the knowledge of certain information, but
But
like,
I don't
they might
think
not
that would
have
have anything
classified.
to do with like
No.
this is just all like.
Mhm.
Atlas huntsmen, right?
Mhm.
So there are other people on this list too. So I would say that it's probably more like, you know, what you're allowed to do. Like, are you allowed to kill people?
license to kill,
You know, stuff like that, right?
due process, whatnot.
Exactly.
She's so happy. Oh.
They're very cute, and so could certainly use more trustworthy fighters by my side.
And they look around, they're like, yeah, trustworthy.
Like,
Well,
that's
they're really
like a big
hammering that
youngsters.
home. Well, maybe if you were more concerned about your public image.
But yeah, I really do like this episode, and I like Ironwood, like, just not knowing how to talk to people. He's
People-
just like, I don't know how to conclude this.
He's so
But-
used to being
Look
a
at
general.
him, though! I'm doing
Uh,
the cake! Like,
He's so
wow.
used to being a general, he can't be a person. And I love how Penny's like, you're doing better.
Yeah, exactly.
I love her so much.
I think it's
Penny.
so great. I like how Yang says, I almost forgot this is what I wanted. And, like, I
Yeah.
like this little, like...
The idea,
Thing
yeah.
between them
It's
is
like
so
you get an idea for how much they've grown.
And then Weiss says, it almost feels trivial now.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, it does, a little
It really
bit.
does.
And I love how Crow's the one, like, get
The
some
fuck up,
cake. Like, what the
guys.
fuck? Like, come on, guys. But yeah, this Nora part, like, again,
was
it's
a little
very much...
Nobody's
like,
arguing.
you know what I mean? Like, the sort of the Thunder Thighs
Mm-hmm.
thing from earlier. I just wish, like, Nora's not my favorite. You guys know that. I wish they would limit it to at least one Nora thing
I feel
per
like this
episode.
is the only iffy Nora thing. Every other one was top notch.
And all of their weapons, like, I
Right,
feel like
on the
I've seen
side,
all
yeah.
their weapons lined up like that before, so that's a little scary.
And
In
then
other
the-
news,
She
Penny
still have her
has
swords!
her knives
Yes.
that murdered her.
Also,
so,
why
you know,
do they have like a green, like seafoam cake? That's so weird.
I don't think. Okay, yeah. So it's green,
And then black.
it's green, and then black. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, guys?
I don't know. Yeah, I
I love how
literally
everyone
cannot
else
tell
is
you.
okay. That's just
Maybe
impressive.
it's like minty. I hate mint chocolate. Like fuck.
I feel like
mint.
they didn't need to have that Nora joke, and they could have just showed Nora with a giant stack, and that would
Yeah,
have been more
maybe.
funny.
I don't know, but I think it's fine.
That scene when they do the hand pull, like from Volume 5, I love that so much.
I love how Penny's surprised though. Like, did she
Yeah.
not realize that?
She's just happy about everything.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh.
Look at this. This was cute, right?
Yeah.
Aw.
I
And,
hope that
look
later-
at Blake's express. Like, hello. Look at
I hope
Blake's
that later
expression.
we see. She also takes 15 photos. I hope that later we see this as their background photo.
Yeah, but look at how like,
Aw.
like I like how Yang smiled.
The
Not that
Bumblebee
Blake
moment.
isn't genuine, but we don't see Blake smile that much, so it's a little like uncanny valley
Yeah.
situation. You know what I mean? Like Blake's like me, okay? I can smile in videos naturally, but if I take a picture, like sis, I'm just not.
You should see. You guys don't see when recording start. Cal goes from like, "Hi everyone!" Like there's an
it's
immediate.
still like genuine, you know.
Yes.
But when I take a picture, I'm like.
You have to give model.
Like, you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, it's just so...
Sometimes you
I
just
always
have to give
smile
model
with my
face.
mouth closed. I don't know how to smile with my mouth open.
Same,
Somebody has
yeah.
to make me laugh to sort of do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I feel you, Blake. I feel you, sis. But in these videos, when we're smiling about something, it's a genuine smile. So what I did last year for my birthday was I just took, like, screen caps of something that we had recorded where I was smiling because I couldn't get a good picture. So yeah, I feel
They're
you.
taking
Blake.
photos.
And I
Nora
like
and
how,
Penny are
like,
talking.
people are interacting who usually don't. Like,
Yeah.
not that Weiss doesn't interact
Like,
with
it's
John, but
kind of
even
like-
earlier, Weiss was talking to Ren, and I was just like, what do you guys talk about?
Like, real-
really?
okay, like-
And then Nora's talking to Penny.
I feel like you could totally imagine what Nora and Penny would talk about, but like, what the hell would Jean, Weiss, and Ren talk about?
that was a big
I feel like it would be
grenade.
like Weiss and Ren having an intellectual conversation, and John being
That
like,
was awkward that your dad showed up here like that, Weiss. Like, what are they talking
and then Jean would be like, I don't know, like, you mean that flower's
I-
not made out of actual flowers?
I really like that Crow and RWBY have like an uncle, like niece sort of moment here.
Like that he's the family
Obviously,
that RWBY
like, I'm
needs,
dressed
kinda.
as Crow today, so maybe I'm a little biased, but we haven't really had a moment like this in a long time, and it just feels so nice.
But it was
and
such
so
a lovely
genuine.
family moment.
It is lovely. And
It
so
gives me the feels.
I like how he jokes around about not quite disclosing everything that
But he
I know.
doesn't seem worried about it, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
he knows that RWBY can do.
Like, he
Yeah.
believes in RWBY, and that's so wholesome.
RWBY awesomely
wonderful.
trusted himself with the whole truth, or himselves, we could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
trusting others, and I kind of
you-
like that. I like what Crow's saying here. And I sort of like it, like that Crow's like, yeah, that feeling never
That
goes
imposter
away.
syndrome?
I'm still an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still a big idiot.
I
from when
feel
was in
that
high
so
school.
much.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like relatable moment, and also I don't know if this was intentional, but like for us, a lot like when these episodes are airing, a lot of university students are doing exams. Like
Yeah.
this week, like like when we're
Oof.
recording as of right now, I
Yeah.
have 2 projects due Monday, and then I'm sort of done,
Yeah.
right? And so other people sort of have like exams and stuff going on right now, and so
Yeah,
it all arrives at a very right time.
Like, I have 3,000 plus words to write soon. So it's nice to someone to be like, listen, it's okay to feel
It
like a
never
chump
gets
sometimes.
any better, sis. Like,
It
you
never
know,
gets better.
Like,
Like,
the feeling never goes away, even if you improve.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like Crow is trying to say right now. Your mom, Summer, would be proud of you, and I sort of like that. Like, I like how they have this moment.
Look at my
and
schnookums.
they finally talked about it.
Yes.
Finally! Hello?
Finally.
Like, how long have we been waiting? But at the same time, Crow doesn't fucking know. So, a little bit frustrating with that. But it wasn't... This is the most interesting thing.
Yeah.
It was not an Oz secret, unless Ozpin, like, double lied and,
Yeah.
like, pretended, like,
It
feigned
wouldn't be the
surprise.
first time that Crow didn't know shit.
It's a summer secret. And I was
Yeah.
just like, when she didn't come back, Ozpin just seemed just as in the dark as myself and your father, right? And so... Like, maybe Ozpin could have lied, but, like, a summer secret? Like, sis, that's
I also find it
suspicious.
interesting that RWBY has been talking about her mother. Like, there was one other time this volume, I feel, she talked about her mom.
I don't
And I
think
feel
it
like
was this volume. I think it was...
maybe, I don't know. I feel like since she saw her mother
In the visions?
in the visions from Jin, she's been feeling differently about her
Well, I
relationship
guess
with her mother.
it wasn't from Jin. It was sort of like,
It
it
was
was in
from
the
a-
gym sequence,
Yeah,
like in
Jin-
the Jin area where she like, hey Jin, I just need to think for like 5
No,
minutes.
Jin was like, I can help you with this, and gave her the knowledge.
Oh,
of,
did
like,
she? I don't remember.
It was all her happy thoughts, and then she remembered her mother.
Maybe Hunter remembers a bit better than
Listen, I remember
I don't think it
that
happened
scene.
exactly that
No,
way.
I think it happened like that because
I thought it was just Ruby thinking, like Jin was just like,
No,
alright, well,
but Jin
you know.
helped her.
I thought her helping her was not giving her the visions. I thought her helping her was by freezing time to let her think. Like, that was my interpretation.
I guess
I don't think there's anything wrong.
Both.
You know
she
what
did,
I mean?
I think.
And so, you know, press on, like you. She was always the best of us. I really just like this. I really just like this moment. You know?
I like the idea that we don't know what Summer was like. So we know that she was like tenacious, but she was also a brat.
I kind of feel like Crow, like, this kind of gives me like Summer was like almost like the little sister Crow never had vibes. I really just like how their
better
relationship
sister than Raven
may have been. Yeah, and so I really like that. But I don't know, like a Summer secret, like that's a little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what he says, right? Okay, he says that. Oh boy, we have to go back. When she didn't come back. Okay, so that's an empty grave in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so what if Summer's still out there? She just never come back and they assumed that she was dead. Like, what if Summer's out there
They
somewhere?
said, like Miles and Carrie had said, like very early on that Summer Rose is dead.
Well, I mean, she's dead for all intents and purposes, but Watt's fate is dead for 14 years. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I'm not like, guys, Summer's alive, but I'm saying that something out there... You know, does that make sense?
There's a mystery to this that we don't quite know.
What if Summer is just in Salem's dungeon or something? You know what I mean? Like,
or like, what was her weapon? Was there something special?
Yeah, there's
about
obviously mystery, but I'm more saying, Hunter, I'm not like, guys, Summer Rose is alive and she's gonna come back and it's gonna be a thing. But I'm more like, what if Summer is still out there, like, suffering somewhere?
Because she had silver eyes.
And, like,
so she
endlessly wandering, or she's just stuck in Salem's domain and she's tried to escape and she's just like, again, not to bring up She-Ra twice in a row, but like, what if she's spoiler alert ? If you guys didn't watch a new She-Ra episode, no.
Kind of like Raz was.
No. What if she is like Micah, like she was sent to Beast Island and she never came back, sort of situation where Salem, like she was on Salem's Island and just never.
She's in
escaped.
Like the Dragon Continent.
Exactly, she never like was able to get out. I would kind of like that, because I really like the Micah twist, because listen, if there's not a body, like, I don't want to be no body, no death, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, with the Micah situation in She-Ra, it's like, you know, they never said he was dead, sis, and so we were like, you know where Micah is? The only place where no one will go, Beast Island, so I feel like Summer could also be there. But yeah, sorry.
She was always the best of us.
To go all the way.
My sweet.
Back. And so they have look at the blur of
oh god, I just go back to I just love how Nora looks, and I love how Blake looks, like sitting at the
and so they have a mission board, and then the mission board is sort of like this
part of me, because some of it looked like it was legit written, but it's difficult. No, in another thing where it's a reverse shot where you look. I also like how RWBY did a French accent for a moment, like there.
Undercover, like, or whatever.
Yes.
I couldn't do it properly. I like how Mara's like, do you smell that? It's fresh meat. And then they are literally the same.
That's so hilarious that.
So I really hope that even though Hare's
same,
like, we're not friends, like these two are together in some capacity, because it seems like they're exactly the same. Like, you know what I mean? Here's what I thought was funny, was that she, like, Weiss just checks her scroll to tell him it's only been, look at her background, she has a little, maybe that's just the homepage, because it's, you know, a Schnee Dust Company.
It's the Schnee phone.
But yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, like, maybe Schnee, like, also makes the phones, but I feel like Weiss, like, she made the little Schnee thing her background. So
I like how Nora's rolling her eyes in the background, like, honey, you can't call anyone else ridiculous.
I like how Ren says we can improve by helping where we can, because I like that.
And this is when they realize that Elma has Russian accent.
And so a pre-primary school, so literally kindergarten.
Yes.
Right?
The parents fret, and that
like,
causes
this is like, can somebody please, if they haven't already, draw Jean like camp? Like, I feel like Jean has been so David the past couple episodes, like, it's not even funny. And then
I also like Juan, Jim. Jim arc.
Oh dear.
I'm calling him Jim from now on.
And but then like Elm is like picks the actual
Next, a
interesting-
massive saber tooth is loose in the sewers.
That is not how she sounds. I feel like she's doing a slight Valentina, if that makes sense, like vague European accent type situation.
Which is interesting because in Genlock they reference RWBY, so do you wonder if RWBY's gonna have a brief reference to Genlock?
Maybe.
So I wonder if we're gonna see that in the next episode, because I feel like that would be funny, but...
And as we move on...
You just want to get a quick look of his...
Jacques Schnee, alright? I just want to... Like, okay, I am not gonna go, like, crazy, but... So, in Kingdom Hearts, when they had pictures of the chessboard, it actually meant something, if that makes sense. Like, the pieces on the chessboard
Queen has pawns, you know?
actually corresponded to the game, and so I wonder if this could be, you know, something. I'm not sure, like, would this side be Jacques because he's lost so many pieces, like, you know, like Winter, Weiss, and then
here's the
some
thing,
other
though,
ones. Like,
is that
would that be Jacques' side? And who's the other side?
The white side has more pieces than the dark side, and that's the queen there? Or no, that's the king. So the queen's been taken out on the dark side.
Has it?
That's the king just left over.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Because
but
there's
I'm
only
sort of
one
thinking,
of those pieces left. Yeah.
Like, who's, like, is, like, which side is Jacques and then who's the other side? Like, does he think, like, were these, like, do these pieces represent, like, Forrest is dead, like, this person, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
actually,
could it be a metaphor?
Actually, you see that knight?
Yeah.
That knight is lined up to take out that king. The white knight is lined up to take out that king.
And then, well, then there's
that rook is blocked in, or that knight could also take out that rook.
We don't know enough about chess.
That one could take out that knight.
Well, doesn't it depend on whose turn it is?
Oh, and that white one could take out, yeah.
And so I wonder if it's like, is this Ironwood? Like, what's the metaphor?
I feel like the metaphor is that he's the Black King left over.
Maybe, yeah, because he only
he's
has
surrounded
one
by enemies.
Because you would think he would be the white one, but remember, Jacques has dark hair, so it's like Jacques is the king, and then that's Whitley.
Yeah.
Like Whitley's the only piece left, and Whitley's been blocked in, and all the other pieces. You understand what I mean? Like, he's got some pieces down. Like, who knows who these ones are supposed to be?
I think that's the metaphor, is that he feels like he's by himself.
Exactly. I think that's because I was like, oh, if Jacques is the white side, but I don't think he is. I think because he's a fake.
Schnee.
He's a fake white is what I was gonna say. You know what I understand? Like, you know what I mean? Because he has the dark hair. So I feel like the metaphor here is like really like supposed to be like it's just him and it's Whitley.
And he's looking at that and he feels, trapped.
You know, exactly. What the fuck is in his drink, by the way?
That's just an ice
Is that like a circular ice cube?
They exist.
Just like, what is like? I was like, why is there a bouncy ball? Like, like what is he doing?
Because I'm feeling playful.
Like, Father, you have a visitor, and he said, I told you I don't want to be disturbed, right? And so I feel like that's another thing. Like, he feels trapped, and he just wants to be alone. Like, he just wants to drink alone
off, Rook.
and look at the chessboard, right?
I'm contemplating how...
Look at that! Like, oh my god, I love Watts.
Can I say two things about Weiss? One, I find interesting that he let himself in. Sorry, Watts. One, he let himself in, meaning he can hack Atlas.
Yes.
Meaning that potentially he can hack the Amity
display,
Arena,
like we said, which will get us another
and
point,
the display, which I feel like that was my point, because you were on the point of he couldn't hack Atlas earlier.
No, I was saying that like
regardless, it's a point.
He could have. Our idea is that. Like, I think that what we were saying was like, oh, like Watts won't want the system up and running, but what I said was, I think Watts will want Amity communications up and running so Watts can then hack it and then he can broadcast like the true message of Salem through the communications. Like that was sort of our theory.
That was the theory. I think my argument was that he can hack Atlas, and I think we were right about that because he just got into the Schnee Manor.
Like he just
not only that, he was in Mantle, now he's in Atlas.
Yeah.
Like
so he's moving up, you know what I'm saying?
Like
he's getting around.
He can't be stopped. He's like the Cheshire Cat from the Alice in
Wonderland.
Wonderland. Yeah, he's just like totally bends all reality, popping up places.
But
he also kind of reminds me of, I've mentioned this before, he kind of reminds me of Freddie Mercury. Just his teeth and the accent and the mustache and like how stylish he is and his swagger. It just reminds me of that.
But yeah, I
love him.
How
Creepily so, I might add.
Watts seems to, I don't want to say blend in with the room, but look at him as he's outside and then look at him as he's sort of inside. It's just like the coloring and
the
stuff like
warm
that.
light, really.
And so I like this lad, Jacques, creepily, I might add, like, it's a spitting image of you. You know what I mean? Creepily. And so we have this theory that Whitley isn't real and that he's a robot, but I don't know if that's supposed to be a hint.
Maybe he does. Okay, well, that's maybe...
Creepily!
Maybe the reason he got in is because he hacked Whitley. Oh, bitch. Oh, maybe that's why he's so surprised.
If he can hack Atlas stuff, our theory is that he has actually hacked Penny, but instead of making her go murder everyone right away, he's actually just listening through her. And that's why he knows that there's an Ironwood problem, because Watts has sort of hacked something. I don't know if it's Penny, because Penny was like far away during the time where Jacques was, but Watts has hacked something to listen in on their conversations, and so it's just a matter of what he hacked, right? And so
affect. He's like, you're right. He's sly
inherited,
about it.
I don't know. There's just something going on here, right?
He's implying like I know shit.
Maybe.
Like he's kind of like telling him that
Arthur. Whitley, leave us and shut the door. And so I feel like that this is where, we had all these things and like Hunter was sort of on the side of Whitley going good. And like, I kind of like that too, but I don't think that Whitley will go good. I think that Whitley will be like, Weiss, okay, we don't have to like each other, but some shady ass shit is going on, right? Like where Whitley may not necessarily be like, I want to be a good person, right? Like, no, he's just like, there's something wrong going on here. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't
He's not a good guy, he's just less bad.
Yeah.
And he's picking sides.
And maybe it could also be this thing where it's like with sort of the Weiss situation, he's like, listen, okay, I want to live to be heir, all right? We may not live to be heir if Watts comes to get us, right? So maybe this is his realization that there's something.
That's like his subtle way of imposing on Jacques that he's like in control here. And so he's looking
still. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Whitley.
Also, can we talk about for a second why there appears to be a platinum record in the background? Back when he was like the head of a Atlas-only boy band.
It's Weiss's like hit single or something. I don't think it's a record, Hunter. I think it's like
just from a distance, it looked like a bit like a record.
But yeah, so Whitley is like, "Fuck you, dude," and then shuts the door, right? And so I feel like again, that's where Whitley could again not be good, but be like, 911, what's your emergency? There's some random guy in my house.
I'm not that bad.
You know what I mean?
I also find it interesting that in Volume 4, when we were talking about the intro, we guessed that Whitley was a robot. And if years later we turn out to be right,
that would have been like
that would have been on par with Jim.
Oh my god! Like, okay, here's the other thing. Like, Jacques wears like a couple rings, and like so does Watts. And so we made a theory September 26th. All right, I went back. I looked September 26th. We made a theory that Watts and Jacques were actually brothers, and we also sort of made a theory that there was some sort of connection between Watts and Pietro. We were sort of like, it's either Watts and Jacques are brothers or Watts and Pietro are related. Related in some capacity. Basically, we mean blood, right? And so at this point, I'm leaning, and I said this. I was like, I think it's more likely for Watts and Jacques to be related than Pietro and Watts, just because of Pietro's sort of age and all that stuff. And so I really am liking where this is going. So he's pretended he's been dead for years, right? You know what I mean? And that's weird, though, that Raven isn't surprised to see him. Right? You're the disgraced Atlas scientist. You're also supposed to be dead, right? But I feel like she knows that he's with Salem, so it's like anything is
like
really
she's
possible.
In the criminal, like she's in the criminal know.
I've heard things about you too, Jacques, namely that you have an Ironwood problem. So yeah, he's listening in for sure. He has he's bugged everyone. Not bugged, but like hacked their device and he's listening to them like Siri. Like he's listening to everything.
So we talked about the Aesops. Do you wonder does this lend credibility to the idea that he's somehow involved in the Aesops?
Well, we sort of had a theory that he was a professor, right? And that he could have been the professor of the Aesops. Maybe that's why they're like screw friendship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because the idea that they're only loyal to the highest bidder, he might be the highest bidder.
Yeah, who's around? Clover? Like, I sort of wonder, who could have told him that, Ironwood has a Jacques problem, and that
Well,
Jacques has an Ironwood
Well,
problem.
Clover looked like he was close with Ironwood,
Yeah,
or like was
maybe.
around for conversation.
I don't remember where Clover went. I think maybe he went in the airship, but I'm not entirely sure, so I don't know.
He looked like he was dismissed from Ironwood.
Yeah, and so, I don't know. I feel like he's just listening, even
Also,
just in their phones, right?
Also,
like,
that could even
I know
potentially
that this
be
is
common
weird,
knowledge.
but like your phones are always listening to you. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. It's like if you talk about something and it pops up as an advertisement on your phone, that's a little scary, sis. Like that happens to my mom all the time. Like she'll be talking about like, oh, we need chocolate chips. All right, like something that her phone wouldn't necessarily know like she needs as a targeted advertisement, and then a chocolate chip advertisement pops up. Okay, like it is legit that they are listening to you. And it's also sort of like back with like, oh, haha, like Watts is Russia, right? Like, sis, surveillance. They got, like, you know what I mean? Anyway, what if I said you could have your cake and eat it too? And so I feel like that this is the setup.
Yes.
For, you know.
For Jacques going bad.
I mean, Jacques is already bad.
Better.
I just mean worse, right? And so I really just like all of that.
We were screaming. We watched this
like 3 more times if you guys didn't see our reaction yet, because I was like, oh my god, Hunter, they are brothers. They at least know each Arthur, right? It's not like, oh, you're
colleagues.
You're Mr. Watts, like, you know, from like, you're Mr. Watts from the Atlas military. Like, no, they're on a first name basis. And I feel like that's important because Jacques isn't just gonna call any lowly colleague by their first name. Does that make sense? Like, oh, like you were one of my scientists. He wouldn't even call one of his scientists by his
I feel
first
like
name,
they were
right?
coming up together.
Maybe.
In the ranks. They
you mean
rose
that, like,
through the ranks
Watts
together.
was like elite?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like, because
so before Jacques became a Schnee, they knew each other, and they had some kind of relationship.
We sort of had this like idea like, oh, like what if he worked for Schnee Dust Company and developed their technology? It seems he worked more with the military, right?
Yes.
But, you know, what I thought you meant was like, I doubt that if he worked for Jacques would be like, Arthur, right?
Yeah,
like, no.
no.
They have some sort of close friendship. If they are brothers,
I imagine it kind of being like from the Spider-Man game, like Otto Octavius and Norman Osborn, how they were partners and they split up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing.
I kind of like that too. I just hope that they're related for the sake of our theory. I mean, listen, guys. Brothers don't need to be by blood, okay? So they could have been close and still have been
We
brothers.
went to the same sorority together.
You know what I mean? Because remember, Weiss is like,
I
Team
once saw
Ruby.
Jacques Schnee do a keg stand.
Remember, Weiss says, like, Team Ruby is my family, right? And so we wouldn't be entirely wrong, but I'm just sort of, like, I hope that they are, like, brothers
Can it be
in
team,
whatever capacity.
Can it be, like, Team Jerk? Like, Team J for Jacques, maybe. Oh, and then it's Arthur.
And then Arthur, but...
Maybe walks, so, like, jerks with a W for some... Jerks.
Oh my god. But yeah. That's it. I think that's it.
This episode was so wonderful.
Like Eddie Rivas, I'm gonna cry. Like, you don't even understand.
Yeah, okay.
Oh man, we are on point this volume, Hunter. But yeah, okay.
I just love that mustache.
So I guess we will see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed our analysis. And yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who support our channel. Their names will be showcased now.